Hello everyone and welcome back to Sendik's Weather Channel, and boy do we have an interesting update for you today. We're going to be taking a look at everything from the main model output for the next couple of weeks, and that should take us into the middle to the second half of February. We'll have a look at the AO, the NEO, which you might not have seen very much from me before. We'll also have a look at the main models from the GFS, the GEM, the ECMWF and its ensembles for the next few weeks. So we'll get on with all that in a moment for you. And we're going to start with the NEO, which I'll explain what the AO and the NEO represent. So we have the AO, which is the Atlantic Oscillation, and we have the NEO, which is the North Atlantic Oscillation. Apologies if I do sound a little bit snotty, it is early morning when I'm recording this. But I wanted to get it out early because it's going to be a really interesting one, and I've got quite a busy day today. But anyway, if you have the AO and the NEO negative, that is highly indicative of a colder pattern developing, usually. It means that there's more chance of high pressure moving to our north or east towards Greenland or Scandinavia, allowing colder air masses in from the east or northeast or even north. So as you can see, into the second week of February and beyond, at the moment we are just slightly negative, weekly negative, and we are going strongly negative with the GFS ensembles. They're all going quite strongly negative to about this point, -4, which is pretty indicative of a strong block. The NEO was positive, but now it's kind of going slightly negative, which does indicate there's a lot of scattering there of runs, but that does indicate and improves the chances of colder weather because the NEO does look like it is going slightly negative. Something to keep an eye on though, but I just want to show them first. We have some very interesting charts to show you today, so we'll get on with that for you now. So we'll start with the UK Met Office, and could we actually bring in the beast from the east? Let's have a look then. So this is the UK Met Office run. At the moment we have high pressure centred just to our northeast, bringing in a slight easterly flow. There's been a little bit of rain, sleet and snow for many parts of southern and western England, into parts of Wales and even the south in higher ground. Over higher ground we've seen some snow. A lot of people have seen rain, but there's been some snow around. Then the easterly winds continue for a few days, so on Thursday we could see another area of bitterly cold air. With the UK Met brings the -10 line into central and eastern regions, pretty cold, probably some snow around as well with that one. However, with a lot of the runs now, there's been a massive flip, and high pressure with this negative NEO, indicative of this pattern, building a ridge in the Atlantic up towards Greenland, breaking off the ridge in the Atlantic and building a strong Greenland high. And this brings in the beast, and this is the bitterly cold air flooding into eastern and western Europe from western Russia, and you can just see there's that high pressure out towards Greenland. You can see the low pressure is plunging southwards into eastern Europe like this, and this has the risk. If we pull in an easterly wind, we're going to bring the very cold air to the country. You can see bitterly cold air is just out to east. We're already cold at this point, but bitterly cold air is just to the east by the second week of Feb. Something to keep an eye on though, but that is an interesting one. The UK Met is back on board with a bitterly cold easterly wind. That would feel very, very bitter. It would be very strong, high wind chill you'd expect. Now we'll have a look at the icon to compare. Very, very similar for the next few days. Then we have that little area of low pressure, not quite as far in, so probably not any snow showers besides maybe the far southeast, which could graze a few showers possibly. Probably more likely rain. High pressure does not really move. It moves to our east in the north to the northwest in the longer term, around 180 hours. So about the same point. Has a weak area of high pressure between Iceland and Greenland. Low pressure's undercutting it to our south. Kind of a battleground between low pressure to the north and high pressure. Low pressure to the south and high pressure to the north. It's early morning. Don't blame me for that. That could be a battleground. You've got the cold air over the central and eastern and northeastern regions, and then you've got the milder air trying to encroach from off the Atlantic. Now with this I would actually expect the cold air to win out because it looks like it's going to shove the milder Atlantic to the south, and high pressure remains to our north, so that's going to shove it away. Bye bye. And we're going to remain quite cold and possibly even wintry, with winds in from the east or southeast there. We're very cold, very close to that cold air, so if a block does become established, then we could see some very interesting patterns develop. Next, we'll have a look at the GFS, which has been very pessimistic. Shall we have a look then? Shall we have a look? Do we unleash the beast? Let's have a look. Let's stop being silly. So with the GFS, we have a bit more low pressure around, which does bring in air masses from the southeast, which could produce a little bit more interest. I'm not expecting too much from Monday into Tuesday. And then Wednesday into Thursday, Friday, high pressure begins to migrate northwards towards Greenland and Iceland, and is over the top of the country. However, high pressure builds more strongly out to our west, builds to a mid-Atlantic ridge, proper mid-Atlantic ridge, proper blocking area of high pressure up towards Greenland by the 15th of Feb. I'm trying to explain it because some people said the charts were hard to read the dates. But yeah, high pressure properly builds in the Atlantic between the 15th of Feb. Low pressure's on a northwest-southeast alignment going way far south, and we bring in some bitterly cold air from the northeast. You can see the cold pools just to our east. It's flooding in from the east, and the air mass is from Siberia. With bitterly cold air flooding in, and look at that, -10 through the country. Plenty of snow showers, winds in from the northeast. I mean, that is an absolute bitter air mass. You can see we've got a proper block, sustained block towards Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure's running to the south, undercutting, or going to the south on that jet stream, which is towards Spain. And we are bringing in winds from a bitterly cold easterly, northeasterly wind. Very cold. Then Atlantic does run in, but it's running into cold air. Could be a snow event with that by day 12, day 13, by the 20th of Feb. A long way out now. Then the Atlantic returns. If we do get a proper block set up, we could see prolonged and sustained cold spell. This time we actually could, because the teleconnections, the patterns are favoured, as you can tell from for a negative AO and negative NAO, which improves your chances of blocking. And this is what the GFS is showing here, as well as the UK Met and the Icon to a certain extent as well. Now the GEM has been going for a cold and mild, it's a very weird run at the moment. Again, very unsettled for the next few days. Could be like that little bit of snow on Thursday, as the GEM indicates here, with some colder air masses moving into the east and the in the northeast, and could be a little bit of snow there, not expecting too much. However, that block does try and get going to our north. You can see the blocking to our north, but it's not strong enough to for the Atlantic, and the Atlantic reigns supreme and goes mild, wet and windy with the GEM, so a bit of an outlier. And then the ECM finally, high pressure ridge into our north and east. Again, you can just see it out to our east. We actually keep it quite cold, and the -10 line at the end of the run is getting into the country. Very cold, not strong with a block in, but again, there is a weak area of high pressure between Greenland and Iceland and Scandinavia. Low pressure's trying to run in, but the elongation in the isobars suggests it's struggling against the cold block. See all the cold air to our east, Eastern Europe. We are bringing in a bitterly cold easterly wind at this point, and yeah, the -10 line's getting into the country. The -15's not far away, just over to our east, into many parts of Western Europe besides the UK, into past Scandinavia, Norway. The whole of Eastern Europe is plunged into the freezer, and looks like we're about to be put into the freezer as well. Now we'll bring up WX charts so you can see that more clearly with that run. Here we go then, so we can extend out the run with the ECM a little bit further. So again, there's that high pressure. It does stay around for a little bit longer. You can just see with the temperature anomalies, the bitterly cold air, that's about 8 to 10 degrees below average. We're bringing even more of that just onto the east, far east, before that does eventually retreat to our east. And the block does weaken, and then we go more westerly. Remember, the models like to revert back to a typical westerly pattern, which is the usual pattern that we see over the UK. But the last few weeks have been pretty interesting for web. You've got to admit, the models were hinting at this, and I said there's still a chance, and this chance has become a much bigger chance, and now the models are really going for it now with a vengeance. Now, if we have a look at the GFS ensembles, these look wildly different to what we saw yesterday or the day before, when I was like, oh, all about the uncertainty train. Well, there's a bit more of a trend now, so we're going slightly milder. We're a bit colder at the moment, a bit colder than average at the moment, with some frost and fog around. A few wintry showers in parts of the south, as I mentioned before, and Wales and the east, possibly through the next week. We're a little bit below average. Then we're going slightly above average, but then with the upper temperatures, the trend is down. Now, there's a few mild outliers out there, but look at the cold pools there. So -10 and below is bitterly cold air for the UK. You can see there's quite a few runs going for it, with below -10 isotherm through Birmingham as well. Pretty central western location, and yeah, there's a lot of runs going for below -10, which is pretty cold for the UK. Pretty cold today. But you can see the average is dropping below around -5, which is Really quite weird considering it's 10 days away. Now, it could arrive a few days earlier, like some of these models are suggesting, like the 15th of Feb is when we could see it, like the UK Met showing. But again, we just need to get the overall pattern in first. But the trend is down from around day 7. It's 7 days out is unreliable, but it's not too unreliable. It's nice that the models are coming into range now where it could actually happen. The GM ensembles, again, doesn't not many of them, but there's a few runs dipping down to -10, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, so keep an eye on it. I'll keep you updated with this. It's very interesting to see, and I just want to make a video on it. So please, please, please leave a like on this video and subscribe for more if you did enjoy. Keep up to date with all my latest weather content because we're going to be going through all the cold spell potential, and it's all facts on here. It's all facts. So thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye, everyone.